Welcome to the Walking Dead UK podcast. It's Entertainment Talks podcast for Fear the Walking Dead on AMC. I'm your host Matthew, and this is for Season 6, Episode 1, The End is the Beginning, the season premiere for Season 6. And for the first time in forever, the first time ever, I think, I'm doing a solo episode of the Walking Dead UK podcast. Of course, David has usually joined me for at least the last couple of years, or since the start, pretty much since season 6 of the main show. We have covered the Walking Dead World Beyond, the first 2 episodes, but I'm here to cover the 6th season of AMC's Fear the Walking Dead. Season 6, Episode 1, The End is the Beginning. We're treated to a Morgan episode, a Morgan bottle episode. It serves its purpose. It is an episode that's probably a little bit too long. This episode somehow is 52 minutes, which I think is a little bit long. This feels like an episode that was written by Scott Gimple, but it isn't. This episode is written by Andrew Chambliss and written by Andrew Chambliss and Ian Goldberg. Ian Goldberg, who is the showrunner for the current season, the 6th season. This episode's got a particular slower pace to it. This episode kind of breaks the rules of the universe and doesn't explain how or why. It tries to sort of vaguely or subtly explain how it's broken the rules of the universe, but then doesn't actually explain to you how it's done that. I'm of course talking about Morgan being, I'll say, inconsistently immune to zombies or walkers, because in the first half of this episode there's a bunch of walkers that he comes across and he is immune to them. They ignore him, they go right past his shoulder, they completely ignore him. And then it's only in the second half of the episode where he has that particular fight with the character that I'm going to call the dad, because I don't remember his name being spoken in the episode. And a couple of the walkers actually go to attempt to kill Morgan or bite him or whatever. So the biggest problem this episode's got is the thing that it's trying to actually lean on, which is this mystery with Morgan, which is seemingly gone by the end of the episode, because Morgan's bullet wound is healed. Well, the bullet is taken out by the end of the episode, and he's not got red eyes anymore. Now, it's really, really strange, because first of all, this has never happened in The Walking Dead, ever. Not in any previous Fear episodes. It's never happened in any of the main Walking Dead show. It's not happened in The Walking Dead World Beyond, at least in the first 2 episodes of that show. It's really, really strange, because you break the rules of the universe to where, like, Morgan Jones is dead in quotes, because that's been one of the things that they promoted, is like Morgan Jones is dead. What does that mean? Like, and you don't actually explain that in the episode. It's just a bit weird where you go into the episode and you've been promoting like Morgan is dead and he's got these red eyes and the walkers are like not attracted to him, but they never explain why in this episode. Maybe it'll get explained in the second episode of the season, but I kind of doubt it, because it seems like we're moving on immediately from this. It's just very poor writing is the only way I can really sort of explain it. Now, don't get me wrong, I think this episode is entertaining. It's got some interesting small zombie set pieces, some interesting zombie encounters, and that's one of the things that I like about zombie shows, is seeing how characters try to survive in different situations. It does that pretty interestingly well, but the core idea of the episode is a failure, because you set this thing up as a mystery and then you don't attempt to answer your own mystery that you set up, and then you just kind of move past it. So why did you try to do it in the first place? You could have just simply you could have had this episode to where Morgan, sure, he gets injured, he was already shot by the end of season 5. Morgan gets shot or whatever, doesn't get like this weird red eye thing, and you can still have the same episode, but the only difference you'd have in this episode is instead of Morgan being immune to walkers, Not to the bite necessarily. I'm still guessing that if he was bitten by something or if he died of a natural cause of some sort, that he would probably turn into a walker. But if you actually take out the episode, it actually makes the episode better. So it's sort of like the thing that you've put into the episode and put it as a focus point. Not only have you failed at doing that because you completely just failed to answer the question of like, okay, why is he immune? The episode would have actually been better if you took the idea out. Now, it kind of does break the rules of the universe for me because fair enough if you had actually attempted to explain why that was the situation and why this sudden thing that has happened after over 100 and something episodes of the whole Walking Dead franchise, something which you've never done before. I don't think was ever done in the comics. I've not finished the comics yet. But then you don't attempt to explain it. It's very, very strange. It's a very bizarre sort of creative decision. And, I mean, I've kind of got to put it on Ian Goldberg, because not only is he the showrunner for this, he's the actual writer for the episode, and Andrew Chambliss as well. It's just a strange decision. But that aside, the main problem of the episode, which is the main focus aside, like I said, the episode was entertaining, interesting, had a couple of interesting, seemingly probably temporary characters. You've got this guy that is beheading people, the behead person, who I don't think gets a name either in the episode. He's kind of interesting. He's got sort of an interesting idea to him. Virginia, who I think is the female villain in the show, the actual main villain of the season at the moment. He seemingly makes a sort of bounty deal of sorts with her to bring Morgan Jones's head in. That was kind of cool. The idea of him was okay, was kind of interesting. But yeah, there's really not much else in this episode at all. You get, some interesting stuff with the dog in the episode, kind of trying to sniff out Morgan. This dad who's in the episode, which he's very capable and then gets bitten, unfortunately, and he's no longer in the show because he's buried by the end of the episode. You get this mother character. Again, I don't think any of these characters were given names, so I don't know what to even do with that. But yeah, she gets introduced. She kind of seems interesting. It sort of seems like with Fear the Walking Dead at the moment that you're either like going to be in one episode and done, or you're going to stick around for quite a long time. And speaking of that, I just want to talk about Morgan specifically. I'm getting the sense, just the way that Lenny James is acting in this episode, that he doesn't want to be here. Now, I'm not trying to start a rumor of like, oh, Lenny James wants out of The Walking Dead. No, I'm not trying to do that and create like, clickbait in some sort of way. I obviously wouldn't do that, but just the not just from this episode, but from the last sort of 2 seasons. He just sort of, I don't know, he's been working on other stuff. He did that Save Me for Sky Atlantic or Sky One, whatever it was. I think he created that and he starred in that and he was the main star of that. So he's been doing other things. He doesn't need the Walking Dead universe. Like, obviously it's kind of something that gave him the spotlight in modern day as well. He was in that hospital show as well. I can't remember the name of it. I think it got cancelled. No, I can't remember the name of it, but he was in like a hospital sort of drama as well. I get the sense just from Lenny James's acting that he's a bit... It's funny because both Morgan is fed up of being alive because he clearly wants to die, and it feels like Lenny James sort of doesn't want to be here. Just from the sort of body language towards the acting. That's just the sort of sense that I get from him. So, I don't know, maybe he's perfectly happy to be working on the set. Maybe I've kind of read that wrong. That would be perfectly fine, but that's just sort of the reading I get from the episode. But, I mean, what else do I talk about in this podcast? Yeah, you've got this beheader person. He's done by the end of the episode. By the way, speaking of problems with the episode, I don't buy for a second that this guy who doesn't have any injuries, Morgan does. Morgan's almost on the verge of death, or Morgan is dead, in quotes, or whatever that's supposed to mean. Morgan's got his stick, which can be cut by a metal blade, which this guy has got. He puts Morgan on the floor, injures him by putting pressure on his wound, his his bullet wound. The bullet is still in there. Goes over to Morgan, has just the clearest of advantages. Morgan's on the floor. Sure, he's got his stick near him, and he does manage to grab it. I don't buy for a second that guy couldn't overpower Morgan and kill him. Like, Morgan's severely injured. He's only really using one arm, and he manages to stop this guy's axe, I guess you could call it. With the stick, I get it. Morgan's really, really clearly well trained with this stick, and he's done. I can't remember what the actual fighting technique that he learned from the guy in season 6 of The Walking Dead. I get it. He's clearly trained with that. I'm just talking about like simple, basic advantages in fighting. Morgan probably should have died there, and Morgan probably wanted to die, but he saw the letter about, you still have something to do, so I don't know, just didn't feel entirely realistic at all to me, necessarily.
Hey there, I'm Aaron Holman, host of Eye to Eye, a weekly podcast talk show all about passion.
I have this passion and this fire within me that burns brighter than the fire around me.
Flow.
With performing, there's always a story to tell, whether it's my own or not.
And creativity.
I go, he's more than cute, he's creative.
All with an LGBT twist. Make sure to check out Eye to Eye, that's EYE, number 2, letter I. And rate and subscribe on Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen in today.
I'm Christy.
And I'm Jackie.
And we are Killer Fun. We explore the intersection of crime and entertainment every other week.
For as long as people have been communicating, they have been talking about who did what to whom, and is that socially acceptable?
Because the boundaries of society,
crime,
and entertainment have always gone hand in hand.
The more salacious,
or weird,
the better. From books and movies
to television shows and games,
we look at how life and art imitate and inform one another.
And we can't get together and not laugh. So let's face it, there's going to be laughing.
Killer Fun is available anywhere you listen to podcasts, so join us.
If you'd like to get started with a domain name and a website today, just click on the link in the show notes and that will take you over to Koalu to get started. They also have a live support chat system that you can use, which is in the bottom right hand corner. So get started with a new website and domain name today with Koalu. Hey everybody, if you would like to get the ad-free versions of all of our podcasts and support Entertainment Talk along the way, all you need to do is head over to patreon.com/entertainment talk. Sign up either as a creator or as a Patreon. There's no difference there. That's just the option for either becoming a creator now or just staying as a patron for the moment. And then all you need to do is support us at the $1 level tier. That will get you access to all of the ad-free podcasts that we've done in the past, and get you access to all the ad-free podcasts in that month as well. So it's a great way to support us on Entertainment Talk and to get rid of the ads and get your ad-free podcasts. You can also become a patron at the $3 level tier. That gets you access to ad-free podcasts and allows you to redeem a review of a TV show or a film of entirely your choice. That's one per month for either a TV show or a film review, which is at the $3 level tier. As always, thank you very much for listening. Back to the show. So yeah, that was kind of unrealistic, and I didn't really buy that necessarily. I just want to read a note that we got from the showrunner here. So Ian Goldberg, showrunner Ian Goldberg stated that the 6th season, so this current season of Fear the Walking Dead, would take on an anthology format. I don't like the sound of that. Where episodes will focus on individuals or pairs of characters, so either one, like we got here with Morgan pretty much, or different pairs of characters. Similar to previous seasons like season 4's Laura, Goldberg also described it as a darker season. That makes me particularly nervous for this season because, as we've noted in previous seasons of the main show, the main Walking Dead show, The Walking Dead's got some of the weakest bottle episodes that I've seen on TV. Granted, I've not seen every show that's got bottle episodes and whatever, and I'm not talking about like little anthology episodes of things like Room 104 and Inside Number 9. That's just fundamentally a different way of making television. I'm talking about a show that's got an ensemble cast and you're looking for some reason to focus on individual characters or pairs of characters. That makes this season sound like it's going to be quite slow and just makes me think of Scott Gimple. I know that he's not the showrunner and he's not writing, at least this episode. He might be writing future episodes. I don't know. I can't tell you at the moment because I don't have that information. But I really don't like the sound of that particular idea. I think that if we're going to be getting more episodes like this throughout the season, it could end up being one of I'll just say The Walking Dead's as a franchise, one of the weakest seasons of The Walking Dead. I don't mean to sound too negative. I'm just sort of giving you my opinion on what we've seen so far in the season. I think this is a particularly weak episode. It does its job. It also doesn't explain what it's trying to do because of the central mystery of the episode, which I've already talked about. But it did its job in a particular way. But yeah, I kind of get like, you end season 5, you have this Morgan cliffhanger, you attempt to explain it, but you actually don't. And then, because I've seen sort of this season all like the promo thing for the next couple of episodes, and it looks like we're getting back more to the group, which is what we probably should have done. Because if this episode was going to be better, they could have focused on both Morgan and what the main group is up to at this point, but they didn't do that. So I don't know, that just kind of makes me a bit nervous for the rest of the season, but we'll see how things go. I'm going to keep doing these until, I don't know, if the show completely like falls off, or like I completely lose interest podcasting wise, then I'll have to reevaluate things. But just kind of early on, what the showrunner said, what we've seen from season 6 episode 1, I don't have a good feeling about this season, so we'll see where it goes. I won't judge it too early. I'll give it at least a good 2 episodes of the season, see where the story kind of goes and stuff, because we do still have 16 episodes, so we do still have a big chunk of story, so we'll see how things go. That's pretty much all I've got for this first episode. There really isn't a whole lot else to talk about. We see about 5 characters in the episode. The ending's kind of interesting as well. Morgan's, off on his own. His eyes have cleared up. I'm going to assume that means that the inconsistency around the walkers not detecting him is going to be gone anyway, so we'll see how that plays out. But yeah, that is really everything I've got, honestly, for this episode. These podcasts will be a lot shorter than the main ones, because we usually have a recap or more notes, plus I have David here with me and he gives his thoughts on things and we kind of bounce off each other and stuff. That's obviously not going to be present here as well. So yeah, but if you're kind of familiar with my more solo episodes, they're obviously a little bit shorter because of no co-host and that sort of stuff as well. So let me know what you thought of the start of this season of Fear the Walking Dead, though. Did you like it more than me? What did you think of their attempt at doing what they did in this episode with Morgan? How do you feel about the showrunner's comments for the rest of the season, or anything else related to Entertainment Talk as well? Matthew at entertainmenttalk.org, Twitter eTalkUK. There's a contact page and information in your show notes. I'll be back next week with 602. Don't know what it's called, but I'll tell you next week. Actually, I do know what it's called. Is Welcome to the Club. So we'll talk about Welcome to the Club next week. When that happens, the episode's going to be directed by Lenny James. Kind of interesting, so we'll see how that goes. But thank you all very much for listening. You can find everything else that we got on entertainmenttalk.org. If you'd like to support the podcast and Entertainment Talk, we are on Patreon. You can have a look at the $1 and $3 level tiers. That's for instant podcast, ad-free podcast, and review options. Amazon affiliate link. If you're buying stuff on Amazon, we can get a small cut, but it won't cost you extra. iTunes feeds. You can search for those. If you search for Entertainment Talk on your favourite podcast platform, that will be very helpful as well. You can also find, please rate, review, subscribe, and everything like that. You can either subscribe to the individual feeds, or you can subscribe to the main Entertainment Talk feeds. So let me know. Subscribe to whatever you'd like to subscribe to. You can also find Geektown on iTunes as well. That's David's website for TV and film news. If you want to know about more Walking Dead news or any other up-to-date, reliable TV and film news, Geektown is your go-to for that. So you can either head over to geektown.co.uk, or you can search for Geektown on iTunes and podcast services. And Geektown Radio is the weekly podcast for Geektown. Is released on Tuesdays, so keep your eyes out for those. Bex is streaming daily at the moment, doing fun and interesting stuff over on Twitch. You can follow her if you search for Trista Bytes. That's Trista, Bytes, Trista, So you can go and follow her, subscribe to her over there. Word of mouth, you can simply tell people that you know about Tristabytes, Geektown and Entertainment Talk. Just tell them about the websites, iTunes feeds, Twitch stuff and everything else that's involved with that. Social media, you can do the same thing but with Facebook and Twitter. Share them on the different platforms, in different Facebook groups if you can, on all your different social media platforms, so please do that as well if you'd like to. And lastly, look out for Let's Play Sunday episodes on Sundays. Thank you very much for listening, and I'll see you next week. So we get a bit of a change of pace. We'll see you next week for Season 6, Episode 2. In the meantime, stay tuned to entertainmenttalk.org. Thanks for listening, and I will see you next time. Goodbye.